Let's discuss the fifth valve and its main functions with a tuba. For this discussion, I'll be using a B-flat tuba as an example, but the same principles can be applied to any key of tuba. The main function of the fifth valve is to give us more fingering options that become particularly helpful into the low range. As we add each valve to the instrument, our fingering options double. With a 3-valve tuba, we have 8 unique fingering options. With 4, 16, and with 5, 32. With 32 unique fingering combinations, a 5-valve tuba will almost always have a fingering combination that is close to being in tune. There are 2 main configurations of fifth valve, although one is significantly more popular today. The first configuration of fifth valve is what is often called a flat whole step, as it is slightly lower than the first valve itself. While it may be a flat whole step on its own, this is not how most tuba players choose to use the fifth valve. As we previously talked about in the 4-valve tuba video, as we use more and more tubing, we generally get sharper. The fifth valve becomes particularly helpful in the low range around low E flat. On a 4-valve tuba, low E flat is possible and can be played 1, 2, and 4. Sometimes this 1, 2, and 4 fingering may be too flat, and 1 and 4 is too sharp. 5 and 4 is often the best solution. Several other low notes will benefit from the fifth valve as well, including the low B natural that was only possible with pulling slides on a 4-valve tuba. 5-valve tubas become completely chromatic in the low range and only require slide pulling to make fine-tuned adjustments. Let's address who needs a 5-valve tuba. A 5-valve tuba in many ways is a luxury and is not necessary for the tuba player, particularly on the B-flat tuba. As we go up into the higher keys of tubas, I would argue that it becomes a necessity. With 32 unique fingering combinations, 5-valve tubas have more fingering options and are more likely to be played in tune. You will often see professionals playing on a 5-valve tuba or sometimes even a 6-valve tuba. The second configuration of fifth valve is what many people refer to as a long fifth valve or a flat 1.5 step. This fifth valve has the same function, but the fingerings change in the low range. For low E flat on a B flat tuba, the fingering is now 5, 2, 3 instead of 5, 4. The other low notes that use the fifth valve will also change. This style of fifth valve is significantly less common, but does show up. A good way to test which fifth valve you have is to compare to other fingerings. If the fifth valve is somewhere in between first valve and first and second valve, it's the shorter first described fifth valve option. If the fingering is in between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, it's the second longer fifth valve option. If you liked this video or found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and click the bell, as well as visit my website for low brass tutorials and other educational resources.